Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we help families simplify the college planning process. I'm Kristin Clark. I am the owner and founder of College Planning Untangled, and I work with students helping them to figure out what they'd like to do as far as a career path and then the corresponding college major that's going to support that choice. And I'm here with Bobby Hood. Bobby is our SAT, ACT coach, along with the MCATs, the LSATs, the GMATs, whatever you need him to help you with, as well as some college planning types of things like essay writing, et cetera. So, Bobby, how are you doing?
Just great. It's very nice to get here and continue that discussion about, just college visits and, applying to college and all of that stuff. It's fun to
Yes.
talk about it.
Yeah. So, in the topic today, we're going to talk about when you're planning your college visits.
Yeah.
Don't just do this willy-nilly. You actually have to have a plan. Sorry.
Yeah.
You got to go in with a plan, as is everything, because there is some strategy behind this when you're going to do the college visits. And by the way, if you're going to make the effort to drive 3, 4, 5 hours or whatever it is, spend half a day on a college campus, we want you to get the most out of it and your son or daughter to get the most out of it as well. So we put together some key actions that we think you need to take. And then we're going to give you some supporting documentation to give you lots of questions that you can ask, so that you can ask the ones that are important to you. But there's some key things that you need to do while you're on campus to help you. Bobby, talk about why we're doing these key things.
Yeah. So this is one of those things that, like, you think maybe, people might have thought in the past that you could just drive up to college and go run around and maybe like go on a tour or something, and that it doesn't really matter about you. You're just there to like get information or whatever, right? But the college is they know when people are visiting, they know who takes the tours, and like the basic thing that's always been true is the person who gives the tour. I gave tours back when I was in college, and they keep notes on the students who are on the tour, and they know the names of the students, and students who show particular interest in things like that, right? They know that, and then that goes into your notes in the admissions file, right? So this is one of the opportunities to get noticed, right? And in a good way or a bad way, right? So the first thing is to make sure that you present yourself in a professional manner, and that you seem interested in the college, and that you're showing them that you're interested in going there. And just as a side note, like people you meet when you go on a tour or an interview, they're going to be students there when you come, if you come attend. So you might meet someone who's going to end up being a really good friend of yours while you're on the tour too, right? So that's the first idea, is just to remember that this is actually part of the application process. And especially if they're serious enough to consider going to a college, then you need to take that tour seriously, right? And, if you're going to go take the tour, right, if you're going to go visit the campus. So this is now, in this era of modern technology, what do we need to actually think about, other than the fact that the tour guide, the human who's giving you the tour, they're going to notice you, but what else do we need to think about?
Right? Yeah. And on top of that, Bobby, obviously you're standing on campus. More importantly, your kid's standing on campus, your teen, and they want to get the vibe. They want to see if it feels right, it looks right, all the good stuff. But we've pinpointed 4 areas that we want you to really think about when you're driving up to the college campus, and talk about in the car, and just, start brainstorming. And one of the things I'm going to do is I am going to put into the chat our download with all kinds of questions that you can ask once you get there. Okay. So this is supporting information, but we're going to be talking about a couple things, important things that you need to know right now.
Absolutely. That's great. Yeah. So questions to ask. I mean, of course, you need to, this is one of those things that you have to think about, right? On the tour, you need to ask questions, but it's the student needs to ask questions, right? Of course, the parents can ask some questions, but the note you want them to write down is not, hey, the parent seems really interested in their kid going here. They want to know, hey, this student very much wants to go to this university, so it looks like they would accept if we, that they would come if they were accepted. That's demonstrated interest in attending this college from the student. So you need to ask good questions.
Yeah. And Bobby, I want to add to that, because for the parent that's used to taking the forefront, because, and I hear this all the time in my coaching, Kristin, I don't know that they're going to speak up in class. They always do. They got it in them, I promise you.
Right.
it's really prepping them and letting them know, hey, this is important that they're seeing you ask the questions. I think
Yeah.
it's worth the conversation, especially for those types of kids where you're nervous that they're not going to look. And
Yeah.
I will tell you this, when I'm in a call, when people are trying to decide if they want to take my service, I can always tell because the kid's always looking to mom going, how's she going to answer? How she's going to, and they're going to notice that it has to be this kid that is more interested than you are in the school. So prep them on the way up.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah. So that's an important thing to do is that while you're on the tour. And just a quick side note, while you're on the tour too, during whatever moments you're just like kind of off the tour and just around, look for students who are currently attending the college who just happen to have an off moment and talk to them. Right. Because that's where you get, actual opinions, about how people like a school and stuff. Right.
Yes. All right. So let's get into the 4 things.
Yes.
Okay. The very first one is before you even get in the car to go up to see the school. This could be a couple weeks ahead when you're setting that that visit. Also set a meeting with the school, within the school, or wherever your major is. Get in touch with those people and make sure that you're having a sit down with that department.
Absolutely. I mean, and if possible, you should also make an appointment with the college admissions office with an advisor themselves as well. But a lot of schools won't let you do that. Like just because it would then their admissions officers have no time for anything else. But if they let you get an appointment with the admissions office, do that. But also it is probably much easier to get an appointment in the major of your choice with, somebody in that department to talk to you. And that is where you're really going to find out what's it like to have a major here. What does their building look like? Where are all your classes going to be? Right. All that.
Yeah.
And and that will help.
Go back to, okay, there's a couple things I know that people are going to have questions on. What if they don't know what their major is?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. A couple things on that. Whatever's the most probable right this second, just do it. Right. Yeah. Because it goes back to this, are you going to want to come to my school or not? If you took the time to do this extra thing, they're going to see that you're more interested in that school. There, you get points for that, right? For making that extra effort. The other thing is, if they don't know, it's going to behoove you to get them really curious about what career types or careers that they want to look at, and get them more comfortable with, why am I going to college? What's the end goal? Why do I want to be here? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this could be part of it too, is like, if you go and you meet with the dean or assistant dean of the school of engineering or of business or whatever, part of that conversation is them telling you about the kinds of jobs that their seniors graduate and go off to do. And then you will learn things about like, oh, that does sound like a major I want to do, or that doesn't. Right. So this is part of how you learn. And in your application process, the school's going to be asking you what majors you're interested in. That's on there. Right. Because most schools, like if you want to apply for engineering or business, you have to tell them, or you don't get to major in that unless you specify that. Right. You have to be accepted not just in the university, but into the business school or the engineering school as well. So yeah, you need to do that. And if you haven't got any ideas what your major are, that's when it's time to get in one of your classes or work with you one-on-one and figure out what sorts of majors would be good, match your strengths. Okay, so what is the next item on the list? The next item is tours, right?
Yes, to do the prep questions.
Absolutely. So we talked about that. Prepare your questions ahead of time, right? And they don't have to be genius questions or anything. It just has to be, think about some things that you're actually interested in that you'd like to ask about, right? Usually good to ask about, student life and student interest and what students do, because a lot of times the tours are about the buildings and the offerings and the facilities, but you can ask things about student life and things like that. That's always a good question to ask. But that's a lot that's on our list. Just download that list. That will give you, brainstorming ideas, right? But the point is just to know that you should ask questions and that the student should ask most of the questions.
Okay, and then this one is more fun, but it's important. And that is when you're on campus, take the selfies. Get yourself in front of the logo, and not only posting it on your own social media, but go ahead and get engaged with that school's social media, because again, they're watching and they're looking for your excitement and they want to see pictures of them, their campus too.
Well, this is really huge because this is sort of such an interesting reverse of like the thing, like The first thing is, I think everyone knows now that you have to be super, super careful with your social media, because colleges are going to look at your social media if it is a publicly available stuff. And you probably shouldn't have too much of your stuff publicly available unless you're very confident that it represents you well in the admissions process. But you can, if that is something that that you do, don't just take the stuff, but like actually tag and tag the school or post it to their social media, get it on their list, because they will absolutely notice that. They know when they're getting tagged, and they know which students have tagged them. They track all of that, and that is absolutely demonstrated interest. And if you show, oh my gosh, I'm here visiting my future college where I am dying to go, they know that, and that will absolutely factor into the admissions process. If they can accept you, they're going to want to accept if you fit their qualifications. They feel like you'll fit in well. They want people that they know are excited to come there, right? Because that helps with their conversion rates. Absolutely. And so that's something thing. And so it had not occurred to me, the idea of making sure to tag and put it on interact with their social media profile, because
Yeah.
we know that they even track, like, if you go and click on their admissions site, and if you click all the buttons, right? So if they track that, just whether you have clicked all the buttons on their admissions site and on their website, they're sure going to notice if you post a selfie, on their social media.
Absolutely. Yep. And then the last one is, the last one is go eat on campus.
Yeah.
Buy the t-shirt.
Yep.
The reason why we think that's important is, especially if you have a kid, a teen that isn't partaking in the college planning process as much as you'd like them to, it's giving them that opportunity to kind of look around and go, yeah, I could see myself here, and get them excited about the process.
Absolutely. I mean, it is. And for those who, like, if you have a junior or a sophomore and you're seeing this video, it is common for some students that before they start their junior year, to not really be that interested in college yet, and just not be thinking about it. And then suddenly, somewhere around Christmas or winter or spring, everyone's going to suddenly start talking about college, and then suddenly they might suddenly become excited about college, right? But at some point, that might be the thing, is like, hey, you go and you're like, hey, are any of these t-shirts cool? And they're like, oh, I actually want that one. And then that's how they start identifying and feeling themselves connected to a place. So that's it. Absolutely. Go and eat there. Don't just rush in and rush out, right? Go sit down and eat where the students eat. Look at the students you're eating around you. See if they have smiles on their faces, right? See if they're laughing. See if they're all sitting together, or if they're all alone, right? This is all important stuff. And that's it.
Absolutely. And I reposted the download so that you can have all the questions that you should ask on campus. For those people listening, hey, if you've got specific questions you'd like us to answer, you can ask now live, or feel free to put them in either of our Facebook chats, and we're happy to answer those questions or get you to the right people, as needed. So,
all right. Well, this is great.
All right, Bobby. We will talk to you next week.
Yep. Talk to you then.
All right. Bye.
Bye.